let's look at the Friday games. Richmond has covered 9 in a row. Did you know that? They're 9-0 against the spread in their last 9 games, and now they're 10.5-point dogs to Kansas. I had Kansas winning the whole thing in my bracket. What do you think about that line? Richmond plus 10.5. You think that's a good bet?
Yes, I do. I've got Kansas around -7.5, and it's important to know Richmond. It wasn't a fluke that Richmond was here. In my numbers, I have Richmond at around around at 84, which is pretty good, and I had Vanderbilt only at like an 85 and Louisville around an 86. So I mean, I had them, pretty compared to the top teams. I had them fairly close. So it's not a shock to see Richmond here. They play really solid. Kind of a half court kind of game, and they're really well coached. So and the thing that I do like Richmond is Illinois has really slowed the tempo down against Kansas, and Richmond definitely has the ability to do the same, and Kansas does have Bill Self, who struggles to defeat a lot of teams where he's out coached, which turns out to be a lot for the most part. So 10.5. That's a good size play. I don't know if I'll make it a big play because how athletic Kansas is and how good they can be, but it's definitely going to be an average size play.
Because a lot of times, sometimes you see, situations like these where you have a team like Richmond that is underrated, and they wind up covering a ton of games in a row against, mid-range teams and even upper mid-range teams or lower top-range teams. But then when they really go up against, the number 1, 2, or 3 teams in the country, the talent differential becomes very important, and they wind up getting blown out by, in a blowout. But you don't see Kansas as having that kind of talent or likelihood of a double-digit win?
Oh, I definitely think it's a possibility. But if Richmond covers, I think it's going to be around the 4 to 5, maybe even 6-point range. And if not, Kansas just blows them away, in my opinion. It'll be pretty easy to tell whether Richmond will cover by probably the first 10 minutes if they can match up athletically.
Yeah.
So if you can live game bet, that's a really good option in this game, I think.